Marvelous Marvin Hagler was an American professional boxer and film actor who competed in boxing. From 1973 to 1987, he reigned as undisputed middleweight champion from 1980 to 1987, making 12 successful defenses of that title, and holds the highest knockout percentage of all undisputed middleweight champions, at 78%, while also holding the second longest unified championship reign in boxing history at 12 consecutive defenses, at 6 years and 7 months. His reign as undisputed middleweight champion is the second longest of the last century, behind only Tony Zale, whose reign included several years of inactivity during his service in World War II. Overall, Hagler defeated 11 opponents, 10 of them by knockout, for the world middleweight title. In 1982, annoyed that network announcers often did not refer to him by his nickname, Marvelous, Hagler legally changed his name to Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Hagler is an inductee of the International Boxing Hall of Fame and the World Boxing Hall of Fame. He was named Fighter of the Decade by Boxing Illustrated magazine, and twice named Fighter of the Year by the Ring magazine and the Boxing Writers Association of America. In 2001 and 2004, the Ring named him the 4th greatest middleweight of all time, and in 2002 named him the 17th greatest fighter of the past 69 years. The International Boxing Research Organization rates Hagler as the 6th greatest middleweight of all time, while BoxRec rates him the 29th greatest boxer of all time, pound for pound. Many analysts and boxing writers consider Hagler to have one of the most durable chins in boxing history, having been knocked down only once during the entire professional career, and the scored knockdown is still being disputed. Hagler spent his early years in the Central Ward of Newark, New Jersey, United States. Former middleweight southpaw boxer Robbie Sims is Hagler's brother. Following the Newark riots of July 12 to 17, 1967, in which 26 people were killed and $11 million in property damage was caused, including the destruction of the Hagler's tenement, his family moved to Brockton, Massachusetts. In 1969, Hagler took up boxing after being roughed up on the street by a local boxer, whom he later defeated. With his friends watching, the very next day after being roughed up, Hagler, determined to become a boxer himself, walked into a gym owned by brothers Pat and Goody Petronelli, who became his trainers and managers. As Hagler needed to be 16 in order to enter some amateur tournaments, he lied about his age, saying that he was born in 1952 instead of 1954. Hagler's real birth year publicly came to light in 1982 when he had to state his date of birth in order to change his legal name from Marvin Nathaniel Hagler to Marvelous Marvin Hagler. In 1973, Hagler won the national AAU 165-pound title after defeating a U.S. Marine from Atlanta, GA, Terry Dobbs. National Golden Gloves, Lowell, Massachusetts. March 1973, United States National Championships, Boston, Massachusetts. May 1973, he completed his amateur career with a 55-1 record. Hagler was a top-ranked middleweight boxer for many years before he fought for the title. He struggled to find high-profile opponents willing to face him in his early years. Joe Frazier told Hagler, "You have 3 strikes against you. You're black, you're a southpaw, and you're good." He often had to travel to his opponents' hometowns to get fights. His first break came when he was offered on 2 weeks' notice a chance against Willie the Worm Monroe, who was being trained by Frazier. Hagler lost the decision, but the fight was close, so Monroe gave him a rematch. This time Hagler knocked out Monroe in 12 rounds. In a third fight, he defeated Monroe in 2 rounds. Boston promoters Rip Valenti took an interest in Hagler and began bringing in top-ranked opponents for Hagler to face. He fought 1972 Olympics gold medalist Sugar Ray Seales. Hagler won the first time. The second was a draw, and Hagler knocked out Seales in the third fight. Number 1 ranked Mike Colbert was knocked out in the 12th and also had his jaw broken by Hagler. Briton Kevin Finnegan was stopped in 8. Afterwards, Finnegan required 40 stitches in his face. He dropped a controversial decision to Bobby Boogaloo Watts, but knocked out Watts in 2 rounds in a rematch. Hagler won a 10-round decision over Bat Benny Briscoe. By then, promoter Bob Arum took notice and signed him. In November 1979, Hagler fought world middleweight champion Vito Antuofermo at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada. After 15 rounds, most ringside observers thought that Hagler had won, even though Antuofermo had been closing the gap in the second half of the fight. Hagler claimed that referee Mills Lane said he won, but Lane denied ever saying it. Hagler claimed that he and many others were surprised when the decision was announced as a draw. Judge Dwayne Ford scored the fight in Hagler's favor, 145 to 141. However, Judge Dahl